Welcome back to the Abundant Harvest Homestead. I'm Papa Pepper, and today I'm going to talk about some unexpected benefits of this pond that we have. So ever since I was young, I dreamed of having my own pond. I wanted somewhere to watch turtles. I wanted somewhere to catch fish. Just a pond. I like the water. I like being around frogs, different creatures, maybe the snakes, the turtles, the different stuff you'd find in an aquatic setting. And when we lived in the city, I actually gave up on that dream. We did have a kiddie pool periodically, and during the months it was okay to interact with the wild turtles up in Wisconsin side, where we just have a little one or two that we'd feed for a bit and then let go back again in the wild. But I started dreaming again when we moved down here to the Ozarks. This is just a small garden pond. Really, if you flipped an SUV upside down and buried it, it's about that size and about that shape. It's been a work in progress for a while. When we had an opportunity to use a mini X for a little bit, I dug it some years back. A friend was getting rid of some underlayment from carpeting when he was doing a remodel, so I laid that down. And then I had a pond liner that I had for some years, just waiting to put to use. I've put that in, and then since then I began to kind of sculpt this, turn it into what I want. Make it just a nice, attractive place for us to come. And just the pond in itself has a peacefulness to it. It's a nice area. We definitely enjoy being able to come out here, check it out, see it, and enjoy it for all that it is. But then there's all sorts of stuff that we hadn't really thought about, that as we lived out with it, enjoying it and having it here, these blessings just kind of reveal themselves to us, and we realize, wow, we're getting a lot more out of this pond than we originally intended. So one thing you can think about with having a pond is it is a chance to have a food supply of fish on hand. That's kind of a common one we thought of ahead of time. The only thing I'll suggest is make sure you know the rules and regulations in your state or area. Some places you're free to catch them in the wild and put them in your own pond. Other places you got to buy from a fish supplier, a fish hatchery, something like that. They've got some great ones in our area to help stock ponds of any size. And another option then, of course, is just some pet shop fish. A lot of people have goldfish or koi or things like that. But having fish on hand, whether it's just to watch them or whether it's a food supply, is kind of the base of one of the blessings that we figured out. So one of the blessings that we figured out is we like to garden as naturally as we possibly can. We don't like using chemical pesticides or anything like that. So if we're dealing with some sort of pests, a lot of times we use natural methods, and one of the simplest ones is grabbing the bugs off the plants. There's some bugs you don't want to do that with, like maybe a bee or something that's going to sting you. But there's plenty of ones out there in the garden that are pests that you can actually pick up with your bare hands. We learn about them, we teach our children about them, and now we have a great place to dispose of them. Even like the little Japanese beetles that'll cover some of our fruit trees or maybe our grapevines, we can go collect them by hand and throw them in here. We also give them to our chickens, but it's a lot of fun to toss them in here and just watch fish hit the surface and explode. And one of the cool things is that our children now periodically ask us throughout the day, Dad, can I go collect bugs again? And they have a desire, because of the benefit of just watching the fish, enjoy that. The kids like that, first of all. It benefits our plants because our plants are getting pest removed, and then it benefits our fish because they're getting food. So it works on so many levels, and I hadn't really thought about it. Especially it works out well because we put it up in our garden area. So that's one of those unintended blessings that we now receive because of our pond that I hadn't thought about ahead of time. But I want to mention it to you guys now so you guys can think about that if you're contemplating putting a pond on your property, especially near your garden area. I knew that there was 4 things I wanted to mention, and I forgot what one of them was until I just saw it whiz by my head. And that's actually the dragonflies. It is so cool to have a pond here because one thing, that's where dragonflies are going to breed and lay their eggs. That's where they're going to have their nymphs, and their nymphs are going to hatch and turn into dragonflies. And they're going to be flying around. I got one staring at me right now, a beautiful blue one with aquamarine eyes. But dragonflies, of course, one of the things that they will eat is mosquitoes. So just like a lot of people have bat boxes on their property, or they like to have something for the swallows, or I think the purple martins, dragonflies at an insect level are a great way to get rid of mosquitoes. So just like the fish inside here will cut down on mosquito eggs, if mosquitoes lay their eggs in the pond, the fish will gobble them up and eat them. When they're flying around, the dragonflies, and there are so many, on some nights you can come up here and there's just a ton. And it's exciting. Always like dragonflies. So much variety that they have. But just to see them out here eating the mosquitoes so that we can walk around with short sleeves in the evening, we don't have to worry about getting bit up near as much as we would if it wasn't for the dragonflies working so hard and just doing what they do. So it's another cool creature to check out. It's providing a benefit to us, and something that we hadn't thought about before we put this pond in. But now from seeing it for a bit, we realize, wow, what a blessing. Also, a friend had given us some cattails a while ago. That's what these plants are here. Of course, that can be a food supply for us because there's different stages that you can eat different things on the cattail plant. But also, right at the base of it right now, I see a number of honeybees. A couple of our honeybee hives are only about 40 to 50 feet away, just across the hugel mound, our drive-through for the garden, and then another hugel mound. They're over there. But a lot of good beekeepers keep a water source on hand for their bees. I hadn't thought, especially when I put in those last two hives just across there, that they would be running over here constantly to get water. Right now, whoa, one just flew past my face. I see at least another 3 down here, just using the cattails to get down to the water level, to pick up their water. There goes another one, to take back to the hive. So I wasn't really thinking about the fact that it would be a water supply for our honeybees, but on a daily basis, pretty much from dusk till dawn, you will see them here every time. I'll give you a quick look at that. They're here right now, and you know, I wasn't thinking about that, but it was a blessing and it benefited us. And now living it out, just happening to have bees, happening to have the pond, we can see where this makes a lot of sense and works out really well for us. And they will do that all day. And then one I had put a little thought into initially, understanding that it was a possibility and something that would be happening, but I wasn't really thinking about it when I planted this here, was just the fact that this creates a microclimate. So all day while the sun's out, this is absorbing heat. And then over the night, it releases that heat. You'll walk out here some nights and you'll just see the whole thing steaming. And all that extra heat it was retaining, it's creating a much warmer and more humid environment than you just have sitting out in some other area. This happens to be a papaya tree. Now this papaya plant I kept in the bathroom last year. I grew it from seed last year. It was a small plant about this tall. Overwintered it in my bathroom and then happened to plant it right here at the edge of my pond. I don't know if it's got time to do anything or if it's actually going to fruit, but I know that it's going to be doing a lot better because we have a warmer environment for it because of the microclimate that this pond is creating. And just like a lot of people in their greenhouses will fill a bunch of usually 55-gallon drums with water, they'll paint them black, and then all day they'll be absorbing the heat from the sun that that greenhouse has, and then at the night as the air begins to cool, they're still going to be radiating that heat. It's a much similar thing here, and I'm not sure if you guys can catch any of these dragonflies flying around in front of me, but there's a couple of really stunning ones flying around right now. So whether you just want a pond to look at, whether you're looking at a great way to help you in organic pest control by having, you know, somewhere to dispose of the bugs you catch in your garden, whether you're looking for another way to have an on-site food supply, not only with things like edible plants like maybe cattails or watercress, but then with fish on hand as well. Whether you're just looking for a good water supply for your bees, or maybe a nice way to create a microclimate up in your garden, or just somewhere for dragonflies to be. And that's one thing too with the water supply here. It's not only for the bees, it's not only for the dragonflies, it's for my lizards and other things that are running around in this area that then have a go-to water supply that's always here for them and helps them kind of establish their population, takes care of their needs. And then all over this garden, we've seen so many today, there's just lizards everywhere enlisted in our organic pest control posse. The frogs too, leopard frogs and pickerel frogs and bullfrogs and toads. Almost every night you can see them chilling out in here. And then they'll also be in the garden at night or during the day. It's a beautiful thing to see. So a pond isn't just, a pond for the sake of being a pond. It's not just some water that you can look at. There's so much more that you can get from it. And these are just a few of the things that we've observed over this past, some months now, probably less than a year, of actually having this pond here on our property. Hopefully that's some good stuff for you guys to think about. Make sure you're gardening, make sure you're growing, make sure you're doing something with your property to provide for your family. And stay safe out there and be blessed. Papa out.